Hi guys, my name is Anna, you're watching simcue, and without further ado, let's get into this video. So last week I posted the Haunted Mansion build, and this I will admit is a little bit similar, but when this is going to be posted, Halloween was yesterday and I feel like a lot of people are still going to be in the like spooky spirit, so hopefully you will like this one as well. This is not so much a haunted house as it's just an abandoned house. If you want to play it as a haunted house, you definitely can. You just have to change it so that it's not a residential but a haunted house residential. But this I more so imagine just as like an abandoned house and almost like an apocalyptic house, if that is a word. I hope that that's a word. So we pretty much have the overall shape down. It is a bit smaller than the one that I did last week because I wanted it to be more like a cabin, even though it is 2 stories, but it's going to be a completely wooden house. So for this build I also used a lot of life and death. I just love these items. It's been so fun getting to play around with the pack because I actually haven't been using it a whole lot until I did these 2 builds, like these 2 in a row. But this one also uses a lot of horse ranch because horse ranch comes with so many wooden items and they are a little bit worn, and so it just fits so well for this wooden house. I am going to go back and forth quite a lot with the windows, with the doors. I couldn't really figure out exactly what I wanted because the windows that come with life and death have this like, I guess it's not brick, but it's definitely a different material that sort of surrounds the window. It has really nice details and that definitely did not fit this build. So I'm using this one window, which you see a lot on this build, this little squared window. But as you can also see here, I just found that it was like too repetitive. It was too much of the same window just over and over. So I will eventually go back and find the same base game windows that I had already used. I will place some more on the side. I will change some of the other windows. I will choose some windows that have like shutters. And I think that was a really good change, just so that it's not the same window like over and over and over. Yeah, so these are the windows that you see here, just the ones with the shutters on. And I do think I also eventually go back and add a chimney. So I really like that I changed this up. This just means that there's a little more going on with the house, even though I obviously wanted it quite simple. And then I got the chance to use this roofing from the Werewolves pack. So this is like, I don't actually know what this material would be called. Metal? Tin? I don't know, but I guess these like metal sheets that to me again is very like shabby and worn. And yeah, obviously with the Werewolves pack we got a lot of items. I will be using more of them throughout the build just because they're very worn down, maybe even broken, or kind of like improvised furniture. So I think we're just going to see a bit more of me choosing some colouring, but I will say I loved doing this build. Like this one and the Haunted Mansion from last week, I absolutely loved them and they're so different from what I normally do, but it was just so much fun getting to use some other items than I normally do, getting to really play around a lot with the tool mod to add some extra details that just really ties everything together and gives it the vibe that I was really going for. So again with this one it's more like abandoned instead of like haunted. So abandoned is kind of what we're going for, or at least it used to be abandoned. Then maybe your sim moved in if you want to play and imagine that this was like the end of the world and you just found this like wooden cabin and you're trying to survive here. So I'm also going in with some city living wallpaper because at the bottom of these wallpapers it's like a bit grimy, maybe there's some like water damage, maybe it's just dirty, and I found that they actually match, if I chose the right color, which is this like blue and red, they match quite well with the horse ranch wooden panels that had been painted, and now the paint is like starting to like strip off. So I really like that detail as well. And in general, I was trying to bring in a lot of the like outdoor wooden panels because I feel like this is the type of house that's not very well isolated. So some of the walls maybe just might just be the wooden walls. So these items you can find both actually in Eco Lifestyle and in Werewolves, but they are from the Live Edit or Debug catalog. So I have a mod that allows me to find them really quickly, but they are accessible in your game as well. You'll just need a few cheat codes, and honestly, the simplest is just to search up Sims 4 live edit cheats, debug cheats, and there will definitely be a lot of pages that can help you with that. So I added the oven and the fridge, so it actually does not work. These are not gameplay items. Your Sims will not be able to use this oven, they will not be able to use this fridge. I just like how it looked, because as you can see, the front of the oven has it's been taken off and it's just been put to the side, and it also means that I can leave the fridge open. And then I found all of this lovely trash, and again I think this both comes with Eco Lifestyle and with Werewolves, so whichever pack you have, you can use that. I do use both packs because I use Werewolves with a lot of the tiles and with some of the, as I said, more improvised furniture, but Eco Lifestyle had just a few more of these trashy items from Debug, so I do use both packs in this. So if you want the complete look, you are going to have both packs, but if you want to try and build something yourself and really trash the place, one of the packs will probably suffice. So we're now going into the living room, and here I did the same thing as I did in the haunted house. If you watch that video where I just tilted one of the chairs so it had fallen over. And then I'm going to add a grill, because obviously we're going to need some way that your sim can actually have food on this lot. So I added the grill, and this grill is from Jungle Adventure. I actually thought that the grill was from Werewolves. It's this grill, you just saw it really quickly, but it's in a... It's not called a can when it's that big, like a barrel. It's this really big barrel that is turned into a grill. And I thought it was from Werewolves, but it's actually from Jungle Adventure. I will say though, if you do not have that pack, it is the only item from Jungle Adventure. So you can definitely just download this and then add any other grill really. But as I've been talking, you've also seen me just place a lot of right now random items on the inside, and this is a general thing that I do, that I just go through the catalog and I add any item that I want to use later down the line. I just add it in one big chunk, and then I sort of start moving them around. So I think I did a little bit of the living room, but we will get back to that, I'm pretty sure. So right now I'm doing the, I guess you would call it a master bedroom, even though there's nothing master about it. But I found this bed from Eco Lifestyle, and this is why I needed this pack specifically as well, because Eco Lifestyle, if you don't know, you can go through the dumpsters and you can find a lot of furniture in the dumpsters, and Eco Lifestyle actually have their own their own furniture that comes with the pack, which is these very worn, broken, kind of disgusting items. So I did find that bed from Eco Lifestyle. I think you will see it in some other shots, and otherwise I will do a tour at the end and just show you everything. So this room that we're doing here, I kind of imagined it that it used to be maybe an office, but now in a more apocalyptic situation you would want to work out. So I just added the werewolf workout thing. I do think I changed it to the boxing punching bag, the punching bag. But yeah, that was what you were seeing, and I just placed a lot of paper on the floor. I am so sorry, I think I have a little bit of a cold coming on, so I can hear that my throat is, or that my voice is getting more and more hoarse, but we'll just have to deal with it. So I feel like this video is jumping around a little bit. I'm so sorry. I feel like the tour is probably going to make up for it. Right now I'm just choosing railing, and again, very indecisive as per usual. That's how you will know that it's me when you see someone spend 20 minutes on choosing flooring or railing. That's me. I'm that girl. But we are back in the bedrooms, which was what I was hoping, because I wanted to comment a little bit more on them. So I did actually turn the other bedroom into children's room. So there are 2 beds. You can obviously also have adults sleeping there, depending on what story you want to tell. In a way, I've kind of hoped that you wouldn't have children living here. The place is super trashy. But again, this is The Sims 4. It's not a problem. And I think this build is just very much for those people who are really into like storytelling, and if you want to tell a story of this family that maybe they are in like a zombie apocalypse, I don't know, and then they moved into this cabin and they happen to have 2 children. So if that's the story you want to tell, there is a children's bedrooms, there are a few toys. I added the creativity table down in the living room, and then I was very happy to see that this roof is apparently at the right angle where I can actually add these like holes that came with life and death, and I just think they look so cool, even though I know it's like a metal roof and these holes look more like they were supposed to be underneath actual tiles, but we're all just playing pretend. So we're just pretending that there's just holes in the roof. Now we've already reached the point where I'm just in the decorations catalog and just going through it and adding decorations all over the place. So adding scratches from the Werewolves packs and some paintings and some posters. I didn't use vampires, even though I kind of wanted to, just for like the cobwebs and the more cracks and stuff like that, but I chose not to use it because I used it in the last build, and if you don't have vampires, then you have the packs to like play this one. I did add this really cool thing with this mirror here in the living room and also in the dining room, and I tried to place the camera as if I was like seated in either on the couch or on one of the chairs, and I wanted to be able to see from the living room who would come down the stairs and from the dining room who would walk in the door. And I just think that's such a neat little detail. So I hope you like that as much as I did, because I was super excited about that when I was like, what if we added like mirrors so that people who live here, who are clearly super paranoid, like something very terrible is going on, so what if we add some mirrors so they can keep check on like everything that's happening in the building so that they know if they're going to be attacked or something like that. So just going over, just finding all the items. I usually at this point turn on the filters. Like by now I have a sense of what packs I want to use, so I turn on the filters and then I just go through the entire catalog, find anything like these random milk bottles, because I was like, when else are you going to be able to use these milk containers that we got with this like random event? And I guess I kind of like that they are like lost Sims. So it kind of adds to the story that these people are lost Sims, and the only way people have really been able to spread the word is just put their picture on a milk carton and then send it out there. I don't know. Again, I don't always know what the story is with these builds. I think the story really comes to life when you choose to actually play with these builds. So I just build hoping that like you or anyone else, anyone who finds this on the gallery, just have a lot of fun playing with this build. And that's also why I think this one I also need to playtest, just to make sure that your sim can actually move around between all of this trash. This trash cannot be cleaned up. It doesn't, I don't think it affects your sim negatively, technically. It is just a detail. So in the debug catalog, I also found this fence from Horse Ranch. Unfortunately, it doesn't actually like line up, but at the same time I thought, well, if this is like an improvised fencing to keep others out, maybe it's okay that it doesn't really line up, and maybe they just use like whatever planks they had and just try to quickly get a fence there so that no one from the outside is going to come in. It's not a very good fence if that's what you're going for, but maybe it's good enough. Who knows? I was just playing around with all of these like trashy debug items. You can see I added some more planks, like the fence is not really done. They're still working on it. I added some dirt. I don't know, maybe they buried something, someone. I don't know. You tell the story. Like, it's fully up to you. Whatever story you want to tell in this house, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Just going through, adding a little bit of landscaping, adding more trash. I found this really cool debug guitar that should work. Your sim should be able to like play with it, because I also thought, when you're playing The Sims, you actually want your Sims to be able to do stuff. So there is this like debug TV from Eco Lifestyle, this debug guitar that you can hopefully play on, and I think maybe that's it. I also added the debug tub here on the porch so that your Sims can have a shower, because the tub upstairs is a debug tub, so it doesn't actually work. It's just because it looks dirty, like it hasn't been cleaned in a very, very long time. So what I'm going to go around and do now is, I think the selling point of this build, this is what really sells it as an abandoned or an apocalyptic home. And it's these planks that I raised, and I will rotate them. You will see me do it now with the tool mod to shut off like all of the windows, or some of the windows, not all of them, but some of the windows. So the people again that like moved in here kind of imagine that there is clearly something that they want to keep out. And then they just got all of these wooden boards, planks, and they just started putting them on as many of the windows as possible. And again, maybe it's just that they're not really done. They're still working on the fence. They're still working on blocking off all of the windows. But yeah, I just went back and forth. It's kind of a tedious project or process, but I feel like it's worth keeping it in here so that you can just like see what I'm trying to do. So I'm just like angling all of them, and then I'm raising them, lowering them until I get the look that I'm sort of going for, where I have all of these planks that are kind of on top of each other and slowly covering up these windows. And that is actually it for this build. I love how it turned out, and I will now just like jump into the game and show you a tour of this place. So here we are, I loaded up the game, we are in Moonwood Mill. I placed the build over here. I can see that I didn't give it a new name yet, but I will do that for when like I upload this to the gallery. I decided to place it in this world just because I feel like it's where it's going to fit the best. And even if you don't want to play with werewolves, I feel like this world is still quite nice for some really good storytelling, and it's a little bit gloomy pretty much at all times of the day. So you did just see that like spin. So I think we should just get directly into showing you a little bit more of the rooms. So here is what I talked about. Like, let's imagine that we are sat in this chair, and we can at all times keep check on who is going to walk through this door. And I thought that was such a neat detail. I really liked when I came up with this. And this is the very broken guitar that should work. I will playtest that. And then we just have some trash. I imagine that these are some plants they're trying to grow to actually have some food. So the kitchen, where I just trashed up the entire place. These are the milk cartons from the event. If you didn't play that event, I think it's by now a quite old event. If you didn't play it, it's not a loss. It's really just this counter that's going to be empty. But yeah, the only functional thing out here is actually the sink. But I do also think it's one of the few functional... No, I can see we do have a sink here, but we don't have a whole lot of functional items. So I thought maybe a sink is actually good. And that is why I added this grill out here. As I said, this is from Jungle Adventure, but if you don't have that pack, this is the only item. You can just change the grill. Like, this item will just not be there when you download the lot, and you can just put in a grill. I added the debug tub, which is usable, so your Sims will be bathing here very slowly. It's not a good tub. And I did add the woodworking bench. I felt like that, you know, fitted this whole storytelling that we're trying to do, and then your Sims actually have something to do. So in here, in the living room, again, another mirror. If we can just try and imagine that we are sat here in the sofa, like on the edge, we can kind of see who's coming down the stairs. And we can also watch TV, because this is a little TV that comes with Eco Lifestyle. Sorry for going through the walls there. In here, another kind of empty room, but just with a lot of posters. These posters are from Werewolves. I do quite like them. And then the punching bag. And I don't know what I thought with the mirrors. Maybe I'll change that before uploading, because like, what? But the idea is that a toilet used to be here, and I added this teeny tiny little water emitter, so water should be like shooting up when you're actually playing here. So the sink is functional, but there's actually no indoor toilet, and instead they just placed a cone, I guess. So the toilet is through here, and then this outhouse. And this I also found in debug. This is also an event item, but with most items that you do on the woodworking table, there is actually a version that didn't turn out very well. That's the same thing with the chairs in here. Like, this chair is a functional chair, but it is technically a debug item, and it is if your sim like mess up at the woodworking table and then you get a bad quality. So this is the bad quality chair, and this is the bad quality outhouse, but I think you need to be like level 10 to even build the outhouse. So by then, the chances of your sims actually building a shabby outhouse is just really low. So I'm glad I could go through the debug menu and find this, because I wanted this so much more than the actual good version. So you can still use this, like it's fully usable, it works just like the other one, it just looks worse. And maybe it means that it's not as good, like I don't know if they pee slower. But up here for this bathroom, this is where I added that tub. I think this is one of the items that only comes with Eco Lifestyle, so this isn't actually a tub, like your sim cannot bathe in this. And I also added a mirror. I don't know, I think I was just hooked on the mirror situation. This is the bed that I talked about. So this bed is from Eco Lifestyle. You can see like it's got stains and maybe even a bit of mold and some like broken fabric. You do not want to sleep in this bed, but it is the bed you're sleeping in if it's the end of the world. And also this is also like a debug item. So this wardrobe that has clearly lost 2 of its legs, so it's like tilted to the side. Love that as well. This is just the werewolf desk. I purposely didn't add a computer. I felt like it didn't really fit the rest of the build. But of course, if you want to, or if you have to, you can just add it in here. And then the 2 chairs, you could have children living here. You could also, if you're not that kind of player that want to put children through this terror, you could also not have children live here. And then outside, we just have this little observatory thing, also from Werewolves, and some more trash. I just trashed up the entire place. Did put in a monkey bar. And then this horse ranch fence, where I really like that sometimes it's like there's a lot of planks and sometimes like there's like no planks. And yeah, I personally love how this turned out, and with all of the windows, with all of the planks, it's very clearly screaming stay away. I will say though that I purposely didn't add anything here to the front, just because I feel like for actual gameplay that would be really annoying. And also, if I'm being honest, for like gallery, like posting this on the gallery, I feel like if I get a picture where there's just like a big fence here, that's not really going to look very nice either. So that's why I decided to just keep this open, even though if you're really trying to keep zombies or werewolves out, you would probably fence in the front as well. But this is it for this speed build. I really hope that you enjoyed it, that you are excited about having your sims stay here and tell whatever story you want to tell. I think it is going to be absolutely awesome. If I played more with sims, I would use this myself. But I don't play a lot with sims, I just build. I will playtest it though, so if anything is changed when this is uploaded, that is why. I think that's all I have to say. Have a lovely day. I hope to see you next time. Bye! I'm not sure how to feel about the fact that I was so excited to build this trashy house. I loved every bit of it. This was just so much fun.